Okay, I think we've started streaming.
Hooray! Hello, everyone.
Hello, hello, good evening, welcome to Emergency Hedge, the show where Jessica teaches me Netrunner.
And Dave teaches me Arkham Horror.
And today we're doing the former, and I am going to try playing Standard for the first time ever, except for that time when I set up a game by accident and then had to quit.
We've all been there.
It's a rite of passage, I hope.
The um the ballsy thing to do is to say I'm going to keep playing standard with my startup deck and see how good I can do. And it will always be terribly because you're
I
playing with a fifth of the card pool.
That is how I felt about it, and then partway through I realised it was a really terrible decision, and it made it much worse that I hadn't immediately fessed up to my mistake to my opponent. It was not a good time.
I've definitely been on the other side of that as well, where I realized at some point that there is no logical reason you would only be playing these cards if you hadn't accidentally loaded up a startup deck. And I was still a bit bad for the other person because there's some real roundhouse kicks to the face you can deliver in standard that just aren't there and you aren't trained to prepare for in startup.
Jessica, do you know if we're live?
I will check for you.
Oh look, yep, I can see us there. Is it just a pink screen?
The other person because there's
No.
some real
Awesome. There we are.
fantastic.
So, I've got the deck up on the screen that hopefully everyone can see that we're going to be trying. But
I cannot. Would you mind sharing the screen?
that's a very important thing that I need to do. Bear with me. Okay, hopefully everyone, including Jessica, can now see the deck that we're going to be playing. Is that correct?
That is correct.
So to lift the veil slightly, this was at your recommendation.
Yeah, it's a deck
The
I've been enjoying recently. As something that it's not particularly hard to pilot when I don't feel like playing the evil Jinteki deck that we showed off last week. I play this instead because it feels a little bit fairer on the runner and also just like a simpler gaming experience where you're not like trying to decide which of 17 things to do. This is make money, protect your centrals, uh, fast advance agendas, preferably with extra counters on for the first one, and that's it.
So, I thought it'd be good to talk through the cards that are in it. I recognise most of them. Some of them through having played them. Some of them because I've heard Andre talk about them and have a vague idea of what they do. Others I'm less familiar with. So, looking at the agenda suite, is there anything you'd want to draw my attention to about this in particular?
It's got all of the usual suspects you'd expect to see in a Wayland deck. Above the Laura's Lovely 3/2 that you only get one of and destroys a resource. Um, Atlas is going to be key to our strategy. We want to get counters on Atlas so that we can then pull from our deck at instant speed whatever we need in that moment. And that will vary a bit from game to game. Regulatory capture, equally vital to our strategy. At some point in the game, we're probably going to want to try and get to 4 bad publicity and then just score these from hand, or 3 bad publicity and score these with an audacity, which is something we'll talk about in a moment. Um,
And then the SDS.
and
So
the
this
SDS
is my
is
first question about the deck. Do we actually want to score this?
the only time I have ever scored it was in a game that I also lost.
Okay.
So that I don't think it was a terrible decision. I lost that game for other reasons as well. But like it generally doesn't advance your game plan very much compared to other ways of winning. Um, this this deck doesn't want to run a remote generally. If you can avoid it, you
So it's
might
just ice centrals, no
yeah
other ice. Yeah. Okay.
you might throw a magnet or a border control if you've already got centrals iced out to protect something like a Rashida. But early game, if you can get big money that will often deter the runner from running your Rashida because they do not want you to HHN them. And the runner doesn't know that you haven't got HHN in this deck. Uh,
Which is precondition is the runner's had a successful run. Is that right?
Actually, HHN only requires that the runner start a run. It doesn't need to
Started
be
run. Yeah.
successful. Yeah,
And
it's
then it's a trace and four tags if you win. So
yeah,
any amount of money more than the runner has
yeah.
is threatening four tags.
Generally speaking, the magic number with hard-hitting news is not just does the corporation have more money than me, but would I have 8 credits at the start of my turn is often what the runner is asking. Because then you can get hard-hitting news, but you can just spend a turn wiping that hard-hitting news away. You'd still
Yes, of
prefer not
course.
to.
Yeah. So you can not put boost into the trace at all, but then you can just go remove tag, remove tag, remove tag, remove tag.
Yeah.
Cool.
So
Cool.
talking of money, got I think the first of the cards that you won't have seen at all yet, which is or won't have seen in startup, which is NGO Front. Uh so I'm really interested. What do you think of this card at first sight, Dave?
Um, I think this is a card that if I was seeing it for the first time and I wasn't aware of how much it was played, I would be slightly underwhelmed by it.
Interesting.
I
I think it's the least impressive money card in this deck.
yeah.
I think that it's fine. Like, but the thing you've got to remember about it is at most spending your whole turn to get 6 credits, and arguably it is spending your whole turn to net 4 credits because you could have or even 3 credits because you could have spent those clicks just getting credits. What makes it good, in my opinion, is that you can cost the runner a click as well by making it look like an agenda. I don't actually think it's very strong in this deck, so not generally speaking running a remote. So
Yeah. So, like, my working assumption with this is it's not a huge influx of credits, but it's versatility in being able to bait runs,
yeah,
and bait runs by looking like a 5-3 potentially is where it sees so much play. But
yeah,
yeah, that's without a remote. That's just taxing a click from the runner rather than forcing them to go through ice or have a pinhole or some other trick up their sleeve.
yeah, and even all of that is assuming that the runner doesn't just go, "That's an NGO front" when you play it naked, which 9 times out of 10, if someone installs advances something, I without it being in any kind of remote, I'm not going to run it because I don't want to waste a click on something that doesn't advance my game state. People do run it.
Yeah.
People do want to keep you honest in case you're trying to score out 5 threes naked on the board. But I think it happens so rarely that I just generally won't do it.
I mean, could a clearinghouse be the other thing that they might be
True.
concerned about in Wayland? But
Um,
so long as they've got more than a certain number of cards, you can take that risk, can't you?
yeah, you can. Like you would start running it when it's got 4 tokens or 5 tokens on it if it's a clearinghouse. Um, Funnily enough, the only times I've seen Clearinghouse and Standard have not been out of Wayland. They've been out of things like Jintech EP and stuff like that.
Let's move on to Rashida.
Stay staple in pretty much every corp deck,
Yeah.
which suggests there might be some problems with the card. Uh, 3 credits and 3 cards, or make the runner run it and trash it is a really good fork.
Yeah. Yeah. It's again a card that's just hyper versatile and never bad. You know, more than good enough in all of those use cases. We
Yeah,
don't need to talk about Spin Doctor.
I don't think we do.
He has his own publicist. He is his own publicist.
Yeah.
Audacity.
Audacity. So Audacity is talk quickly about what it does. You can only play it if there are at least two other cards in HQ. Trash all of them. Put two advancement counters and install cards in advance.
Mm.
I thought this was underwhelming the first time I saw it, but it lets you score that last 3-2 from hand and win the game.
Yeah.
You, generally speaking, don't play it at any other time in the game,
Mm-hmm.
but you might, like, on the right board state, you might play this
Yeah.
to score a cheeky 3-2 mid-game.
Yeah. Big deal. So this is my question number 2. So this is the recent Midnight Sun card that costs a whole load of money and puts a whole load of advancement counters on a single card.
Yeah.
And it ends your action phase as well, for good measure.
Yes.
And it removes itself from the game. It's an event card, not in terms of its taxonomy, but it's an event in the game when it's played.
Yeah.
What are the targets for this?
The biggest target for this is Project Atlas. This allows you to install an Atlas, put one counter on it, play this, you've scored an Atlas with 2 counters, and that is, generally speaking, with this deck, game winning. Because you can go and get the other pieces that you need, which, depending on the board state, are hopefully their agendas. Hopefully all you need to do then is go and grab regulatory capture or hostile takeover or audacity and win the game like that. Sometimes what you need is to get that bad pub and score the regulatory captures you've got already in hand. Sometimes what you desperately need is like a border control somewhere.
Yeah.
And you can go and grab that. Or you can go and grab the other big deal and maybe score that SCS drone deployment. You can do, it's incredibly versatile. An Atlas counter is so powerful, and it's usually very, very difficult to get to. And I guess it's still difficult here because 18 credits is a lot of credits, and you will often be broke the turn after you've played this. But as we're about to see, there are some amazing money cards in this deck, which mean that you will have a turn of being broke, and that's it.
When I was first looking at the deck list, I was wondering if it would be used for other things and cycled, but it's removed from game, so that answers that question. Yeah, Atlas is or bust. Boom. What are do we have any tag? Any
We
tagging
don't.
here? So this is for a tag me deck. Ooh.
Technically speaking, we do in the form of Mausolus, but really this is for if your opponent's playing a tag me deck, which there are tag me decks out there, and they're hard to play against. Boom can win you the game, but usually by like getting rid of, usually not by killing the runner, usually by getting rid of the key pieces that they need to win, like counter surveillance, out of hand. So, personally, I removed this from my version of this deck because I don't like having a one-off tech card for one situation where it's not like do this or lose.
Yeah.
It's not even do this and win. It's like I feel like it's a marginal case against a tag me deck, and it's a dead draw in every other case.
Yeah.
So I took it out, and I cannot remember what I placed it with. Possibly a third Mausolus, just because it's, or a third NGO front, just because they're like decent little value cards.
Would you said you sometimes play it just to take out the combo pieces? I mean, it's an edge case, isn't it, where the runner can tank 7 me damage? Or are there loads of tech cards for that in standard that I should know about?
A tag me deck will be playing Obelisk, which I think you saw me play with last week, which is the console that says that your hand size is increased by 1 for each tag that you have.
Yep.
So there is a very brief window after you start going tag me, usually, where you're like, you've got 1 tag, then you've got 2 tags, and now you've got a hand size of 7, and you can't. Well, they can boom you because you've got 2 tags. They also can't boom you if you've got 7 cards in hand. So as long as they're playing around it,
yeah,
it's quite safe. in terms of dying. That said, people don't play around it. Sometimes people are sloppy. But I don't like any strategy that's like, this will work if the runner plays badly. Because I feel like if the runner plays badly means I'm probably going to win in some other way anyway.
Yeah, yeah. You'll recall that I spent a long time last winter trying to make a Thule deck that didn't rely on the runner playing badly.
Yeah.
And I mean, it was just a big, big complex machine that the runner just had to play particularly around rather than actively harming the runner, I think, in the end. But it was a fun diversion. Government subsidy.
It's good
Spend
money.
10 to get 15. Hey, hey,
Yeah.
hey. Hedge fund. Almost half of the name of our show.
Yep.
Too big to fail. Oh, this one is a new one for me, or newer. I think this was in the deck last week as well, wasn't it? No, it wasn't. I have seen it really.
This is a big card for this deck. This is the card that when you've just scored your Project Atlas and gone down to 0 credits, you grab one of these with one of your Atlas counters, and suddenly you go from 0 to 10 credits in a single click, and you're back in the game. Now, you do take one. In fact, you do go to 10 credits because you're the outfit and you gain 3 credits every time you take a bad publicity. And we also want to take some bad publicity. We want to go up to 4 and score these regulatory captures. So going beyond 4 is something that should be avoided unless you're desperate, because at some point, the ice that we're about to talk about that starts off very big and beefy turns into paper because the runner's got a 5 bad pub and is like, even worse if they're like a shaper and they can SMC midway through a run and just like spend that bad pub installing their programs or whatever.
It's quite unusual, I think. Certainly in my experience with Netrunner, to have a card that doesn't involve a credit trap. Right, this gets you out of the credit trap, whereas the two archetypal money cards require you to have some money already, and if you fall below that level, you can be stuck in a bit of a miserable situation where you're just clicking for credits and waiting to play a hedge fund.
Yeah.
Are there other cards that get you out of that hole, or is this a outlier?
I can't think of any others that you can play for 0. Obviously, an NGO front lets you go from 1 credit to 5 within 2 clicks, but like that's not the same as 0 to 10. I think it's the best card for getting out of a hole fast.
And obviously part of the design is that you have a drawback, which is the 1 bad pub, but in the outfit that's kind of a drawback and kind of a benefit.
Yeah, it's a drawback or a benefit depending on board state. And like, you know what? I've never heard anyone complain about this card. I think that people generally feel like the outfit, it might sometimes be frustrating to play against it when it goes very, very fast. And obviously the outfit does want to go fast because the value of that bad pub gets higher and higher and higher the longer the game goes on.
Yeah.
But I think it's generally accepted that like there's a good reward and a good drawback to these cards. And you don't see this card outside of the outfit ever, which shows that like I think it's been properly costed.
Mavarus. Not much to say about this. It's familiar to both of us.
It's sometimes the most important card in the game. Sometimes it's a dead draw. Sometimes it's funny to put it on R&D and make them think that you've put Procyon Grid there so that they do a non-Stargate run for the Stargate run. Put it in a remote, make them run the remote. But like mainly you're either like, the question is, are they playing viruses? If not, you probably just throw it in the trash. And even if they are, sometimes you throw it in the trash.
Yeah. I should actually, let's say, so because I haven't run this card ever, I've seen people play it. It's actually a dead card in HQ. If it's pulled out of R&D, you can use it, and if it's installed, you can use it.
It's not a dead card in HQ.
No,
the reason that it has that wording on it, the reason it says if
Mm.
the runner is accessing information from R&D, they must reveal it, is because that's the situation in which the corp wouldn't know.
Ah, right. Okay. Yeah. Yeah. Gotcha.
If they access it from HQ, you both know what it is, so they don't need to reveal it.
Gotcha.
And
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
it always does the thing it does, no matter
Yeah.
where it is,
When it's accessed, including in archives, right?
including in archives.
And can you leave it in archives and then it's just kicks it fires every time it's accessed?
Yes.
Yeah. Yeah.
This kills Amakura runs, or however you pronounce that,
Hmm.
turtle runs on archives.
Yeah. Yeah.
They can get one token from them because they decide the order of access, so they
Yes.
can purge before they finish accessing. But aside from that, they can't just like notch up loads of counters from your
Yeah. Yeah.
virus.
Yeah. This actually would be very toxic with Nanny Grid then against a deck of that kind.
Explain.
Well, I mean, Nanny Grid got banned. I should say for the benefit of our thousands of adoring fans, that the deck I was talking about earlier was an Nana Civic Thule deck, and I was very sad when Nana Civic Grid got banned, even though it was still it is still legal in startup. So that with that card, what the card does, I should also explain, is that when you approach a server where it's installed, you can turn a face down piece of ice face up and resolve one of the subroutines on that piece of ice. And I found it was you sort of had an option between end the run, which meant that the runner then couldn't access the server, or doing something nasty to the runner. But the slightly toxic game state that you wanted to bring about was having a NanoCivic installed on both your remote and on archives, and therefore the runner was prevented from running archives to trash the NanoCivic grid on it. And you could just keep them out of both servers and or occasionally do unpleasant things to them. I don't think outside of oh my goodness, I've forgotten what's the Jinteki ID that bounces you off a piece of ice onto another piece of ice.
Ag Infusion.
Ag Infusion. I don't think NanoCivic Grid is actually OP card outside of Ag Infusion. Having spent a lot of time with it, because setting up that board state is quite an effort, and the runner can play around it once they know what you're doing. But
Yeah,
I'm making that statement without being totally familiar with all of the potential subroutines that are in standard. So there might be subroutines that make it OP. But certainly with looking at all of the options that I felt were available to me for that grid in startup, I didn't feel it was OP. It was really fun trying to set it up. It felt amazing when I got to do it. My success rate with that deck was abysmal, and I did spend quite a lot of time tuning it to the best possible deck it could be.
I tend to agree that Ag Infusion, and I say this with a friend who's like absolutely in love with Ag Infusion. Ag Infusion does seem to be the like problem child of Corpse at the moment. There seems to be a lot of toxic decks that are not fun to play against, and weirdly enough, not fun to play either. Like the Corp deck I played last week is very arguably a toxic deck, but boy, is it fun to play. Whereas people say, I've not tried Ag Infusion Loki, but I've heard from people who have that it's incredibly powerful and incredibly dull to pilot, and that's kind of why it hasn't taken the world by storm, because people just don't want to play it. So we might see an Ag Infusion ban at some point.
That would be fun. Yeah. Let's move on to border control. Probably doesn't need very much introduction.
It doesn't. It's one of the biggest cards in Standard. It allows you to end the run at any point during a run on that server, provided it's rezzed, and you have a paidability window. So you can do it after they've broken all of the other ice, and force them to run the entire server again. in this deck, it's great on HQ. This kills Chastushka. It kills Diversion of Funds. It's it you can use it on R&D to kill Stargate runs and stuff. That's not quite as powerful as doing those other two things.
Yeah.
You can use it to stop deep dive runs on the turn where you think the deep dive is happening.
In fact, this makes me sound like an amazing content creator, because I've just been talking about Nanny Grid and how useful it is to be able to trigger and end the run at the end of a run when a run is approaching a server.
Yeah.
Cool. Let's move on to Bulwark. This is an ice whose name I know, but whose function I'm not very familiar with at all.
It's very scary. It's a big, scary ice. And partly for that reason, you take one bad publicity when you res it. And it's another card that you do not see outside the outfit for that reason. You gain 2 if there's an AI installed. The runner chooses a program to trash, and then the corp ends 2, and it ends the run. The main reason it's scary is because like strength 8 is huge. Having to pay 7 the first time and 6 every time afterwards to break this with paperclip is gross.
Yeah.
An unpleasant experience.
Okay. And then Afshar, which I do remember from the old startup.
It's good. It's taxing. Keep it on HQ.
Yeah.
For even once you've taken a load of bad pub, it's quite often still very taxing to put 2 of these on HQ, and the runner having to run through them every time and just losing 2 over and over again.
Magnet, mostly a tech card, I think, in this deck.
Yep. It's also just good. Like,
great.
It's a little vanilla and the run piece of ice.
This was in that Nanny Grid deck because I got very sad when Botchless was played on me. Mouseless.
Mouseless is very, very strong. It doesn't end the run, but it does a bunch of things that make the runner go, oh, for goodness sake. And the runner will usually want to break 1 or 2 of these, but doing so is just expensive. If you're breaking it with Black Orchestra, it will cost you 6 to break 2 of them or 9 to break all 3. So a lot of times, runners are just like kind of breaking this with their face. And if they're breaking 2 of them, they're probably breaking the net damage and the tag one and giving you a credit. So 7 credit swing effectively, before you take bad pub into account, every time the runner hits this ice is big.
Yeah.
Get it on R&D or somewhere that the runner's going to want to run over and over again, and it's very strong.
Are we ever advancing this? That's my final question about this deck. No. Okay.
No.
And last but not least, Trebuchet.
Yeah. Another card the runner is going to be scared of at any point in the game. If they don't have an answer to Trebuchet and their space on ice, they are not going to run that server. Mainly because of the first subroutine, which is trash and installed runner card. And it's any card.
Oh, that is sweet.
Yeah. So, like, arguably there is a point early game where you might just run HQ for the hell of it. Even Chastushka HQ for the hell of it. Because this doesn't end the run. It stops the runner doing anything with the cards they see if they fail that trace. But, like, there are still things you can do with a successful run. So, throughout the mid-game, this is really strong. Once the runner finds their sentry breaker, it can still be really strong. But by that point, you probably give them a bunch of bad publicity. And at some point, this does turn into tissue paper, especially if the runner just set. If the runner puts a botulus on this, they can probably run through it every time, so they can just pay through the trace with enough bad publicity.
Okay, right. Thank you for talking through with me. Let's get up and start playing.
Are you excited, Dave? You nervous?
Oh, maybe I should be. I'm quite excited. I think I feel like I've got so much to think about. I'm not sure I've got enough bandwidth to be nervous. I'm just like, oh my god, this is going to be a wild ride. So who are we with the outfits? We do not have to spend 75 influence on this deck, fortunately.
That is good.
Yeah.
Although I'd like to see how you balanced a corp that had 75 influence.
By making it one-ofs only.
Yeah, I guess that's true. And then you can give it infinite influence.
Right.
I
Go on.
I think we don't want to see Essa. Not because they're like Essa's impossible to play against, but just because Essa is the personal evolution of runners. You don't get to play with half of your decks.
Yeah.
It ends up in the bin, and that's a horrible way to start playing with a new deck.
Okay. There's an option there to make players' information visible to spectators. I wonder if we could work with that at some point. I thought I'd set up a game, and I can't see it in the list.
This is not an auspicious start.
No, it isn't.
Did we accidentally press cancel instead of... I'll tell you what you have done, is you've got it set to start up.
It automatically does. I think after that embarrassing incident I set it up to. I did change it last time, just now.
I didn't even know that was an option.
Okay. Right, create. Oh ho. Well now, would you mind having a look on JNet and seeing if you can see it? I will pull up the chat and see if everyone's complaining that JNet is broken.
I can see your game.
Okay, that's positive.
And I'm resisting the temptation to just press the join button. But it's right there. I don't know what's going on at your end. You maybe if you refresh it.
I will. Yep, okay. Yep, there we go. I can see it now. Right, there's our deck. And now we wait. Jessica, do you have any news that you want to share with our audience while we're waiting?
I do have some news. So fans of the Null Signal homepage may already know that it's the accelerated meta test this Saturday from, I believe, 3 p.m. UST. So if like me, you're living in the UK, that's 4 p.m. If you're living somewhere else, it's a different time. We sadly don't have a long enough show to go through all the possible times it might be.
That's bold of you to punt on us not finding an opponent in the time it takes to cycle through 24 hour. Are there 24 time zones?
I think there might be even more than that.
Okay. Oh, there are, aren't there? Because there's some half-hour ones. Okay.
There's some half-hour ones. I think more than anything else, it would make for boring content. Like, that's a different stream.
I have faith we can find more interesting things to talk about. Sorry, I've completely derailed your news. My apologies.
I derailed it myself. You merely assisted me. So that's this Saturday. I will be commentating for at least part of it. I don't know exactly which time slot I'll be in, but I will be there for some of it. And if you like hearing me say words, I will be saying some words about Netrunner this Saturday on Isengrins or Yisengrin's stream of the AMT. I'm very excited about it. It'll be the first time I've commentated Standard outside of this stream. I did the startup GNK about a month ago with Andre and really enjoyed doing it. Yeah, it's a fun thing to do, and I'm excited to do it.
that sounds great. I thought you were very good when you commented on Andre's tournament. I sadly will not be able to listen live because I'm going to the UK Games Expo on Saturday,
Oh, very
where
exciting.
I will be playing some Arkham in the evening and doing some other things.
You have to report back to us
I
how that
will.
goes.
There's not any organised netrunner, sadly. The Null Signal are there and doing some things. And I think probably they will be playing Netrunner, or the people on the stand will be playing Netrunner at the same time as I'm playing Arkham, sadly. So I'm not sure I'll get a Netrunner game in. But I will go and visit the stand and
Say hi.
try not to throw money at them and buy all the swag that I see.
I think if I saw some cool tokens, I'd find it really hard not to make an unwise investment.
I think they have an article about this on the NSG website, and there was talk of a playmat, which did get me twitching a little bit. I have to see what the price point is, but that was certainly tempting.
Well, you see, I don't need a playmat because I won that playmat the other week at my
Did you?
yeah
What
I
art?
won
What
for
art was
a
on it?
it's got a really funky art of smartware distributor, which I find amusing because nobody plays that card in standard. But the art's really
The art
cool.
is great, yeah, and it's
Um,
good flavor text as well, isn't it? Something about 21st century, well, some old tech, but it's future old tech.
yeah. And I showed it off to someone who I fancied last night. That's how nice I think the art is on
Mm.
it. And it's an easy card. It's an easy card to explain to someone who doesn't know the game. You can be like,
Yes.
you're driving around in this truck, selling dodgy technology to people, and that gets you money. Like that's rather than saying, well, the ice is doing this, and here's what a sentry does normally. And so it's a kind of a pun on like it's a simple concept for people outside of our little circle to understand.
Without nudging you to overshare, was it successful as a romantic ploy?
She seemed impressed,
Good,
actually.
good.
Yeah, I we'll see.
Yeah, yeah, no worries. Feel free to report on that as much or as little as you feel is appropriate. I would have been impressed, and it is a really good piece of art.
It's a lovely piece of art.
Yeah.
I'm just gonna. Do you want to refresh your page, Dave, and make
Yes.
sure that we're not having some weird tech issue? No,
I don't think so.
we're just not having people join now.
Mm.
I'm having that thing like when you go into a restaurant and you see someone else seated after you and then served first. It's always like, what the heck? My food. Because I saw someone else open a game as Corp and they
Mm.
found a competitor before we did. And so I'm like, come on. We're right there in the list.
Yeah. I guess some people are just not ready for fame, Jessica. I know that
Understandable.
handling our thousands of adoring fans can be quite a difficult thing for some people. So I think we should give them a
It's
bit of leeway.
it's understandable. It's hard to get that genie back in the bottle. I do miss my anonymity.
Yeah, those days when you could go out without people clamouring to see your smartware distributor playmat.
Sunglasses and hoodie every time. That's what you got to do. And
I,
just like head down. If you go to the grocery store or whatever, that's what you got to do. And you'll still probably be asked for autographs, but
I have a relevant story to this, do you know?
do you?
Yeah, and I probably shouldn't name the individuals involved, but a childhood friend of mine got into movies and was dating a bona fide movie star that I think everyone at that time and probably now will have heard of. And they lived a very odd life. I kind of fell out of touch with him actually because I couldn't really relate to him anymore. But she had an official house that was her known residence and was staked out by paparazzi, and they actually lived in an anonymous flat elsewhere in London and had to plan going to like official functions from the official house and then living in their anonymous flat at the time. It sounded awful. Anyway.
It does sound awful. We've got an opponent.
Hooray!
This sterling advert for fame has finally dragged
yeah,
someone in.
excellent. Well done. Cheeky Drake is ready for the big league. Okay, let's start this game. They're playing Hashiko.
No huge surprises.
Okay. I can see 2 cards that we definitely don't want to play straight away.
Which Audacity and Mavirus.
Audacity and Big Deal.
It's nice to have the big deal in hand.
Okay.
We've got one of the best bits of ice, and we've got too big to fail. But if you want to mulligan this hand, I will support you.
Let's try mulliganing it.
I think that is worse, but like not much worse.
I've been bantering with my opponent rather than paying attention. I think that is probably worse. Anyway, we have to make the best of it, don't we?
Yep. I think we're unlikely to discourage them from running first click, but let's see what our mandatory draw is like.
Yeah.
I think you score one of these out
and hope that they don't hit one of the others, or hit the SDS, I guess.
But they probably not going to have a program installed to hit the SDS with.
It's a cost, is it?
Yeah, it's a cost.
Mm-hmm.
So they might see it, wince in frustration, and hopefully we find a Spin Doctor before it matters.
That sounds good. Cool. I will mute the game because I think the sound effects are probably a bit distracting to have on stream. I'm encouraged that our opponent knew that we had thousands of adoring fans, though.
Word spreads. That's a bad start. That's a very bad start.
Oh dear. How many agendas were at the top of this deck?
Clearly two out of the first 3 cards. In fact, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 5 out of the top 8 or 9 cards.
I think
really bad luck.
When we lose, our excuse is made up for us, I think.
Yeah, definitely. And they've got no respect for HHN as well. Like, this would be a brilliant home to HHN than if we had that.
Okay.
So we can't play that right now.
We definitely want to ice something.
Yeah.
Trebuchet isn't that great right now, is it?
I would draw.
Yeah. Okay.
And then we probably government subsidy. Ice R&D, where the agendas that we care about are.
Yeah, sounds good.
There are not many. None of these options are good. 1 ice in the first 10 cards is bad.
No, they don't have a program. That's fine. Yeah.
It would be the hostile takeover we were worried about. We could even consider scoring it out, but it doesn't actually get us closer to winning.
Yeah.
So it's them scoring it would get them closer to winning. See what I mean?
Gotcha. Yeah.
Oh. Surprising to see both of these out of faction cards from
Well,
now they know. Now they know we've got it. Yeah. They only need 1 agenda to win.
And they clicked up to 5.
They clicked up to 5. Like I think they're winning, but they are mostly winning because we've had terrible draw. This is an appalling draw.
I think draw again, right? And hope to get an ice.
Yeah, draw again, hope to get an ice. That's an ice. It doesn't end the run, but it's an ice.
Yeah, we can pop that on HQ.
Yep.
Hedge fund last click? No, we
Yeah.
probably want to. Well, if they come into HQ, we probably want to keep as many cards in as we can.
Yeah, that's true.
But we can't play any. We can't draw any other cards unless we want to discard something.
No. I take for credit.
Yep. Ooh, she's laggy this evening, Jessica. Somebody is grinding out a lot of Bitcoin with our gaming time.
What is it? It's a Thursday night.
Yes, it is, yep.
So I don't know why it would be lagging so much this evening. Okay.
So they don't have a breaker, it would seem, in hand.
They don't have a breaker.
It's a program they need to have. It's a program they need to have, right?
Any program would do, and they don't have one.
Yep.
Look, there's no getting around it. They've had some very good early luck. I would draw. We can discard these too big to fails if we need to. We can't play them right now. We can't. This is
just atrocious.
Remind me quickly how many agendas are in this deck that we've seen this many right now.
There are 11 agendas in the deck. And we've seen 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6.
7.
7.
In 15 cards. That doesn't feel fair.
No,
I think we have to keep drawing.
Where's the 7th one, Jessica? Okay.
1, 2, 3.
Another trebuchet.
Do we put that on HQ is the question.
We could
set
up a remote.
We could set up a remote. It's not what we want to do with this deck, but let's set up a remote.
Yeah.
And we're going to have to lose the 2 big fails.
Yeah, because we can't actually play them at the moment.
Yeah.
Okay. So 7, 11, 7 again. We could, in fact, res all of our ice if we wanted to, but then we would have no money and be really sad that we just thrown away all the 2 big fails. Okay, we will res mouseless.
Probably lose them.
Yeah. Three and 5.
Yep, that's the game.
Yep.
Welcome to Sam, Dave.
Thanks. Yeah, it's a salutary experience.
I do not think any of that was either of our faults. And I hope that doesn't become a catchphrase of mine, so I think it's good to learn from your mistakes. But I think that we mulliganed into something bad and then got a series of unlucky draws on our side and on theirs.
Yeah, I have to say the main mistake there, I think, was me mulliganing. Right, that turned out actually to be quite bad.
Well, last week I did say to you, if you don't know a deck well and you see the first hand you've ever seen from that deck, and you're not sure about it, mulligan it. You'll see more hands that way, and you'll start to learn what a good hand looks like. So, we'll say you were following my advice from last week, rather than my advice from this week, which was to keep the hand. We're playing that I guess we're playing that is it called telephone, that game where you answer the previous question?
Yes, yeah.
Well, it's been a wonderful
Fight the
evening,
last war.
everyone.
Um, I Yep, that's the stream. That's us done. Turn 4, 8 minutes. Yep, job done. Good night. I wondered, do you remember what was in that original hand?
There was a border control, a big deal, a too big to fail, a virus, and something else. Um, and I wanted to keep it because it had a too big to fail and a border control.
Yeah.
Like there were better
There
hands
was an
out there.
audacity in it, wasn't there?
There was an audacity in it,
Yeah.
and you were right to say that we can't play two of these cards right now. Um, and I was also right to say, but we can play two of these cards right now.
Yeah, yeah. Which I think was probably
But
better than what we ended up with, which was several agendas that we can't score right now.
I think part of the problem as well is that this runner played very aggressively versus the outfit. The outfit is often on HHN and Boom, and the strategy that they played would have been a losing strategy against a lot of outfit decks. They would have lost on like turn 2 or 3. But they played aggressively and it paid off for them.
Yeah. I'm just checking what they said. Standard is fun, but I've been playing since 2014, so the cognitive load is not as high as it is for someone new to the game.
Yeah.
Yeah, that did seem to be the case. Okay. Right. Let's. I always feel bad when people want to talk to us in chat and we're talking to each other, and also I'm trying to play Netrunner, which I'm not very good at.
What Andre does is he reads out any comments he's making, but Andre is usually not in the middle of a conversation with a fellow streamer at the same time.
But he isn't. I mean, let's not compare ourselves to Andre because we'll get sad about it. He's in conversation with the entire of his chat, which includes a lot of people.
Yeah, that's true.
We are not looking at our chat. If people are chatting in it, our apologies. At some point, we're going to have to do that, but I think we need people to watch us first. So I feel comfortable that we're not so far. Let's have another game.
Yeah,
see whether we can. We've set the bar low, so the only way is up.
The only way is up. See if we can lose on more than one agenda point.
Is it awfully middle-aged that I capitalise YouTube correctly?
I don't think so. I think it's fine.
We set the bar low, so Oh, it's me. Are you checking whether anyone's commenting on the videos?
Checking.
Oh, no, that's wrong. Swap sides. Oh my goodness, what have I done? That was nearly a startup game. Okay, we are a corp.
Okay. Are you fixing your settings?
I thought I was, and we're already selected with standard as the format.
How very strange.
It is.
Click update profile and see what happens.
Yeah. Is that a button that's here?
It's at the bottom.
Hey. Tell you what I would like to have on JNet is a way to change my username.
Yeah, I think that would be reasonable. I think I might have set up a new account at some point. It's possible that at some point I had an account which referenced my dead name.
Yeah.
And I changed it.
Oh, it's Adam.
Hello, Adam.
Yeah, I don't have such a strong reason to change my username, but it isn't the main handle I use anymore, and it annoys me a bit.
This is one of the many things, if you'll allow me a very brief detour into this, where uh, I would mulligan for money here.
Yeah,
I think starting with no money and two agendas in hand is not viable.
yeah. Um,
Well, sometimes you believe in the heart of the cards and they don't believe in you.
they have not been our friends.
No. We can hope for a spin doctor on the mandatory draw.
Mm,
Or that's all right.
yeah.
Um, too big
S-
to fail, trebuchet on HQ. Draw, too big to fail, trebuchet on HQ, I think.
Yeah, that works. Okay. You still happy with that? The other two clicks?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes, I am.
Fail. Boom.
I was going to say, I think there are a lot of things where, for an average person, it would still just be better if you made it easier to change your username. And for a handful of people, it's like vitally important that they be
Yeah.
able to change their username. So they've installed an RNG key, which allows them to predict the top card, the card that they're about to access in HQ or archives. Because they also have Find the Truth installed. That means they can make this prediction 100% correctly every time and get 3 credits every time they run R&D.
It sounds like this mouse quest needs to go on R&D.
Definitely. But that, even before they installed that, that was our next move.
Yeah. Okay.
I would draw once before we do it.
Okay. Okay, so mouse dots on R&D.
Yep. And then do we play a naked Rashida? That's the question.
Do they have always be running? That matters, doesn't it? Does that matter?
Um, they don't have it, and it wouldn't matter very much in on this board state. You'd probably run. You might run the remote, but you equally might run archives. The question is whether they want to. This is another runner who's just said we don't care if you've got hard hitting news, which does make this deck harder to play.
Mm-hmm.
I would install. I would install the Rashida. If the Rashida goes off, it's really good. If it doesn't, they've wasted a click and a credit on a board state where they don't have a lot of credits.
Yeah. That's good. So if we can fire off this trebuchet, the red capture is a 4-2, which is still not great, is it?
It becomes a it becomes a 40 when we do the trebuchet. We want to get to 3 or 4 bad publicity. People have pointed out, yeah, they're just gonna. I forgot they don't waste their credits. They've got bad pub. People have pointed out this is the hardest of the like X2 type agendas to fire, but I think it's because the corp has got control of when they give bad publicity.
Yeah. I mean, it's maybe the hardest to fire, but like it's also the variable is the easiest for the corp to build up, and it doesn't go away. Like it's not like the tags. I mean, core damage doesn't go away, but that's an absolute pain to organise. Okay, we have another Rashida.
Yep. We might just want to install Advance and NGA front and build up our money and hope that we find that big deal sooner rather than later. Or another piece of ice. Like we said earlier, it's not an amazing money card. I think this deck will run it. I think this opponent will run our double advanced NGA front.
I think they will as well. How about
It's,
drawing?
well, then we can only install advance, but and we will definitely throw away a card if we draw as well.
We can trash the NJ when they run it, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, okay. That sounds good. Fermenter and Paperclip. Okay, so which one is Paperclip? Paperclip is Fractor. And we've got out a Sentry and a Code Gate. So that's nice.
Yeah. We do also have an SDS in hand. To have drawn that SDS this early, it being like the one card that we really don't want to score twice in 2 games.
So we res this and then trash it. Is that right?
Yeah, that's correct. And it's done about as well for us as we could possibly expect.
Yeah.
Like I say, I personally wouldn't run that. I would assume it's an NGO front. Why wouldn't it be an NGO front?
Can you tell us what those cards they just installed did?
Well, one of them's Fermenter, which I think we all know and love.
Yeah, indeed.
This is tricky, whether you want to put that Afshar. I think we want to get this Rashida off, to be honest. To try and find the cards that we need to win this game.
Yeah, so Afshar on the remote, Rashida in the remote.
Yeah. I just hope they don't have a pinhole.
So draw, install?
Yes.
He.
So the card they just installed is the Adam console, which is Brain Chip, which increases their maximum hand size according to how many agenda points they score.
Right, yeah.
So that's yet another reason that we don't want them to get into HQ.
Logic Bomb and Jailbreak. Bypass a piece of ice.
Yeah, this is going to be unfortunate. I suspect...
Be great if they used this on our Rashida.
It would. Logic Bomb also remind me, I think Logic Bomb also says you lose any remaining clicks.
It does, yeah. Go on, run the remote. No, you want to. Oh, no.
No, they're going to run HQ and steal 7 points. I think they might as well. Like, they're going to see 4 cards.
Yep. They're going to see 4 cards, are they?
Yeah, because they've got neutralize all threats. One of their resources lets them see an extra card when they go into HQ. So they're going to see 4 of the 5, and they can steal. That's enough points to win in HQ. So unless they are probably going to win. I'll leave this up to you. It's a very close.
I thought short gamble. Make them work for their credits if they want them.
Yeah. Okay, we've not lost, which was a very real possibility.
Yeah.
Res the Rashida.
Oh, thank you.
It's easily done.
Then start turning the trashes, right?
Yeah.
Spin Doctors, where were they?
Well, clearly just a couple of cards down.
If we'd had just one of those, we could have audacity'd several of them in the other agendas into archives, got rid of them, fixed our hand, scored an agenda. We'd be laughing. This is not, yeah, this tardiness does not become you spin doctors. Where should we put this border control? Is that our next move?
On R&D. Rashida in the remote and another naked remote with Spin Doctor in it, which they'll probably run, but we don't care. Or we could just play Government Subsidy. I think both moves are equally valid right now.
So, sorry, your first was Rashida in the remote, and then
Yep.
What about the naked remote?
A naked Spin Doctor
Yeah,
or play Government Subsidy, both are fine.
yeah. Is there anything we want to shuffle back? We'd be happy to shuffle the Rashidas back, wouldn't we? Yeah, okay.
So by the next start of the next turn, we should in theory see 6 cards. If one of those is a big deal, we score out our Atlas. The question is, if one of those isn't a big deal, do we take the risk and just shove that Atlas in the remote and hope they don't find a breaker?
Yeah.
I think it's a very big risk, but possibly one that we have to take.
I think we're likely to see either an Atlas or another piece of ice to put on server 3, at which stage I feel that's our best bet, isn't it?
Yeah.
There's that dirty laundry. Make them work for it, he said.
But, like, if they're just going to play it on archives, we definitely made the right choice because it's a wasted case to get 3 credits. Yeah, res it and lose it.
Rashida.
Rashida.
So good they named her twice. Okay. Well, where's this one?
Oh, we should have been keeping an eye on their draws, but it's very difficult to remember to do it.
Yeah, I have been. They're right underneath your face, so I have been noticing them in terms of where I got it set up. The last ones weren't very interesting.
Nothing that would break
daily casts.
Sure. They are going to get 2 at the start of their turn.
Okay, an embarrassment of riches. So we've
One
got
of those is a border control.
Yeah.
Which they can break. But it's in front of an Ashfar, which currently they can't break.
So I feel border control on server 3.
Yep.
Afshar on HQ. Atlas.
I was going to say border control, Atlas, advanced Atlas once, because we want to try and get counters on this Atlas.
Yes, yeah. Okay. Yeah, I'm happy with that.
We are going to discard 3 cards, but one of them's a virus, which we don't care about.
Yeah. So we'll lose Mavarus. Should we lose Too Big to Fail?
Yeah, and NGO front, I think.
Yeah, I'm with you on that. Brain Chip, which is the console, and Short Gamble.
I think we'll fire this off. Hopefully.
Dirty laundry.
They're drawing to look for it.
So we should probably ice up archives after we've scored this if we can. So they're doing a weird sort of R&D lock, aren't they? By
They'll stop running archives now because we've just
We've thrown up virus, which kills off their fermenter, so that's good. Do they have any other cards that like viruses?
They'll probably have more fermenters,
Hmm.
and they've just effectively lost 8 credits on that
Yeah.
run.
Okay.
So we will res border control,
Yep.
and we will res Morselus. And when they've broken both, we will end the run
Yep.
because they might be lying, to be honest. But like we cannot take the risk.
Might be lying about.
Um,
Oh,
so
they've seen the top of R&D.
yeah,
Yeah, and now they're
and that
going
it's
in.
an
Yeah, it makes
agenda.
sense. So,
Continue. We'll fire Morselus, and give them a tag actually, which we might want to consider using.
oh, and they can't even go through it.
And now we want to fire border control so that they don't get in.
Is as in right now?
Yes.
Yep. Okay. Are there any resources that we really want to trash?
Yeah, there are. There are their directives.
Yeah.
Like we might even consider their directives and DJ Steve are all really good.
Yeah.
Um, like we can get rid of their hand size bonus with neutralize. Is it neutralize all threats that does that? Safety first does that.
That reduces the hand size, but they draw if they don't have up to
Yeah,
them.
this would take them back to a normal hand size and stop them drawing every turn for
Yep.
free. So I think that's worth doing.
Mm-hmm.
And find the truth. And then we advance the Atlas once and hope that they don't just find the breaker
Yep.
that they need
Yep.
next turn.
But we do have a border control on the right, which they don't
We
know.
do.
Yeah.
We do. Yeah.
So I'll trash safety first. I'll start
Yeah.
our turn first. Oh, we've got another Atlas.
They were telling the truth.
Yeah. I'll trash safety first.
Yep. Trash find the truth. And then maybe we actually put Afshar on HQ because we're like just as likely to lose off HQ, to be
I
honest.
was thinking that because they just need the 2 to win and they know it's in hand, so their next move is to run HQ like a mad thing, isn't it?
Yeah.
We could have done with another click to play to government subsidy that turn.
Yeah.
We do have enough to res both border control and Afshar.
We do. Hopefully we don't need both of them.
They're drawing for breakers, which means that they don't fancy playing here without them. Emergent creativity.
Okay. That's okay. Because
Yeah.
they're going to run with one click.
Yep. Goes. So what's that? Ngolo. Breaks coded gates and makes things into code gates. Okay. Okay.
We might as well res it.
Afshar.
Yeah. And we just hope they are. So we fire the Unbroken subroutine.
Mm-hmm.
40%. It'll be interesting to see if they give us a choice of either of the directives we trashed. No, they give us two jailbreaks.
I
Of
will
course they
pick
do.
a jailbreak.
It's become a
Trash our spin doctor.
cool.
Good, good, good. Okay. I suggest we start our turn.
Yep.
Hey.
Okay, we're going to lose next turn. I think all we can do here is. Oh,
I mean,
we can score the Atlas, but then they're just going to. We could trash their other resource, the thing that like makes it worth them running HQ, but they're just going to jailbreak it again. They're gonna have the money to, I think, just about.
can we trash DJ Steve?
Yeah, we can, but like we've not got a lot of money is the problem.
Hmm.
We could put another Afshar on HQ and then take 2 credits, but like it feels very weak doing that.
Yeah. If we had that spin
Um,
doctor, we could use Audacity, which would have been lovely. I shouldn't complain that they didn't hear our agendas and won the game, but like it has put us in a bit of a fix that they trashed that spin doctor.
I think we score out the Atlas, and when they run HQ, which they will, we use the Atlas counter to draw something that's not an agenda and mildly improve our chances. But I think that we've lost.
Yeah, I tend to agree. Advanced score.
Yeah, advanced score.
It's probably vain to hope that they're such a bad player they don't realise that that's... Yeah, that was installed when they saw the previous Atlas, wasn't it? Okay, they obviously don't care too much about their fermenter.
No, because they suspect they're going to win this turn. And they don't want to run R&D because that would potentially kill their jailbreak, which is how they win this turn. Yeah, we will pull something to hand when they run HQ. Interesting, that's an RNG key.
Okay.
Which our odds are still terrible even if we do this. But they're like not non-existent, which is what happens if we don't do this. So I say we pull too big to fail, which they cannot trash into hand, and we want to play next turn if we did win.
Mm-hmm. Well, we can't afford to, but I'm happy to pull it and see what happens. Yeah. Oh, too big to fail, not I am getting
Not
my
a big
cards
deal.
mixed up, not big deal. Yeah, that is a much better choice. Yeah.
Too big to fail. Big deal. They could afford to trash as well, which obviously we don't want.
Dirty laundry or dirty laundry?
Hey.
Hey,
Yep.
there we go.
There you go. They got both of them. So that was a very aggressive Adam deck that we've seen 2 decks tonight that just did not seem to care whether we had hard hitting news early game, which frankly makes a big difference to this deck. And I wonder if it's because there's a lot of this deck going around that people just are playing as if the outfit won't play hard hitting news. So we've yet to play a big deal. I think we should play at least one more game to try and play a big deal, because it's what this deck does.
Do you think there's any merit in going back over how we played this? Or
Sure. We had a bad starting time, definitely.
yeah.
But that's not the only reason we lost. I probably got overexcited about the idea of trashing their directives rather than just scoring out on Atlas and getting on with it.
That was expensive, wasn't it? Yeah.
Yeah, it was expensive at a time when we probably couldn't really afford it.
We both missed an opportunity to play that government subsidy. You know, we had it in hand to keep ourselves high above that 10, and in enough money to do what we wanted.
And we probably left the wrong. Knowing that we had the Atlas in hand, we definitely left the wrong directive on the board. That said, they had jailbreaks for days. If we'd instead gone neutralize all threats and DJ Steve as the things that we trashed, we played government subsidy and trash neutralize all threats and DJ Steve, we could have prevented that very good play that they made, and they would have only been able to see 1 odds out of HQ. And I think that would have been correct.
Yeah, I reckon.
Equally, though, they would then have won off R&D because they would have just run archives, seen that it was a regulatory capture on top of R&D, and stolen 2 points off the top of R&D by just walking through Mausolus. They weren't clearing tags. They were very aggressive, and that seems to work against this deck when it works.
Yeah. They're familiar with the deck as well. They're asking which is this hard hitting news or the big deal? I forgot to mention this. After we selected this deck to play, I watched Bahram Wu's stream, and he came up against what I believe is this deck.
Oh yeah? How did he do?
I think he didn't do very well against it. I forget. He, not unlike us today, was trying to play a particular combo, and I think got it to fire off once on a 3-hour stream, and due to unfortunate combination of card effects, wasn't able to steal any agendas.
Oh no.
Yeah, I think saw 7 points in a single access and wasn't able to steal them.
Oh no, that's really sucks.
It was quite funny. He took it well. Okay, shall we play again? Let's see whether we can land the deal.
I think the cards have been against us tonight. I'm not going to pretend like we played it perfectly.
Yeah.
But I think that at some point you have to accept that this is a game of mixed luck and skill, and you kind of do need both. I think arguably, if you know the basics, no, I don't think it's like poker where actually you only need luck. If you had infinite luck in poker, you would win every time. But I think that luck will always play a factor in Netrunner.
Excitingly, JNet has started automatically setting up my games as standard.
That's good.
Yeah. So it did something.
it would be really nice even if we don't win, just get off a big deal tonight.
I agree. Yeah, I would like that. Um, yeah, I think on the well, let's play it, and then maybe we can, if we have any energy left in us, and it feels like a game that's worth dissecting, we can just pop back through the replay and chat about some of the decisions and whether they were good or
Yeah,
not.
yeah. Who we played? We played Hashiko first, didn't we?
Mm-hmm. Hashiko and then
Like,
Adam.
yeah, which are generally strong runner decks. I mean, Adam can vary a lot, but Hashiko is almost always strong. And we played against aggressive runners who have recognized that the outfit tends to be very fast and that they need to play a fast game to win. And they've, having made that decision, have just run like wild things
Yeah,
and grab the agendas when they needed to.
yeah, and we've disproportionately drawn agendas, I think, in both games. We
Yes, I
didn't
think
count
that's
them in the last
entirely fair to
game,
say.
but yeah, we saw five. How many did they? They scored 9 points altogether, didn't they?
Yeah,
So that's yeah, that's almost half of the agenda points in the game, and we were not halfway through our deck at that stage.
there is a strong argument to be made that the SDS is the one card that you never want to see in this game. And we've seen it in the first five cards, both of our games.
Yeah, yeah.
Not to whinge endlessly about luck,
No.
because luck isn't the only thing, but I think that like getting a disproportionate dose of luck in either direction when you're learning a deck is really unhelpful, especially if you're getting disproportionately bad luck because you want to. With disproportionately good luck, you at least get to see what the deck does on a good day and keep aiming for that on your mediocre and
Yep,
bad
yep.
days.
So you were talking about the accelerated meta test.
Yes.
Do you know how they choose when those happen? Because they seem to have quite an inventive time zone system going on.
I do not know the answer to that. I do know that however they do it, this one ended up being kind of last minute.
Okay.
It was only announced this week and it's this Saturday. Like there was
Uh-huh.
less than a week's notice. I thought about taking part, but um, I'm not. I'm not bad at Netrunner. I'm decent at Netrunner. I don't always want to spend my Saturday like playing Netrunner for 7 hours.
Hmm.
And I've played more Netrunner in my life than a commentated Netrunner, so I figured I'd take the road less traveled.
Yep, yep. I haven't managed to watch all of one of them yet, but I think it's quite a good thing that they're having them.
Yeah, definitely.
Um,
Do you want to talk about why you think that is?
yeah, I was just trying to marshal my thoughts to express them. I yeah, I guess I think it's probably quite good for the game and for the meta, as I understand how these things function, that there are regular high profile tournaments held online. I get the impression that the experience of COVID happening quite early on in NSG's stewardship of the game had complicated things quite a lot. You know, prior to that, it was a predominantly like the high level competition, as I understand it, was predominantly held in person, and then it
Yeah,
went to solely online during COVID, and now it's gone back to it's more hybridy now that the accelerated meta test is happening. Like I think
yeah,
it's
I think that's fair.
I suspect it's broadly good that people who are very high level get to compete more regularly than just meeting up for a few high profile in person events, 1 or 2 or 3 times a year, or however often it happens.
I strongly agree. I watched Soccer's playthrough of it last time, and it taught me a lot about the meta, and what the actual meta decks are at the moment. I wasn't aware, for example, of like there's very strong Asmari deck out there that because my local meta isn't playing it at all, and because the GLC Standard League isn't really playing it at all, uh, I hadn't really encountered it before. But like watching it be played and be played against, taught me a lot about what's going on in Netrunner at the moment. Hello, Sunny.
Ah, oh, that's the ID,
Yeah,
not the name of our opponent.
it's well, we don't know the name of our opponent. It could be the name of our opponent as well.
Infinite Jester 00.
But their real name might be Sunny, is my point.
That is true.
Or their real name might be Infinite Jester 00. They might have had terrible parents.
So we do have a lot of agendas and a spin doctrine and an
Yeah,
audacity.
I think that we mulligan this hand, Dave. I really do.
You don't want to try the audacity score play.
I really don't. And go
Okay.
down to 3 credits with like two. Like you'd also have to spend a turn with HQ undefended. Oh, that's a pretty hand. Look at that.
Okay, yeah. I'm in favour of it. It's nice to know what a good starting hand looks like. With we've seen one at last. We've hit it. Okay. They took a mulligan as well. That doesn't matter so much for our game plan, does it?
No,
Right.
Sunny is often quite slow. So
Tell me about Sunny. I know nothing about her.
all her only thing is that she has 2 link. She has no other ability, but she has a bunch of cards that care about having 2 link. The biggest of which is Security Nexus, which forces the first time you encounter no once per turn when you encounter a piece of ice, you can force the corp to do a trace.
By the way, shall I score out the hostile takeover?
Yeah, I think you should score out the hostile takeover.
Shall I put a border control on something or the bulwark on something?
You can't do both of those, so I'd score out the hostile takeover.
You're absolutely right. Sorry, keep telling me about Sunny.
Um, it forces a trace that if Sunny wins the trace, which she almost always does, uh, she just bypasses that ice. So like that's really good against a deck like this that's playing a bunch of big ice. It looks like we're very laggy. It's not even sending that message.
No. Oh, there we go.
Okay, there we go.
Dare I hope that it will eventually install this hostile takeover.
My advice would be to leave it for a minute rather than keeping sending it commands. It's likely to like confuse it even more.
Yeah, a message got in the chat, so that should notify our opponent that something's up. I keep interrupting you telling us about Sunny. I'm so sorry.
It's okay. So Security Nexus allows you to bypass one piece of ice a turn. And kind of even better if that fails for whatever reason, that trace fails, then it's not like you then have to encounter the piece of ice. You just end the run and I think take a tag. So like it's not against big ice, it's kind of amazing. Shall we refresh this page?
Yeah, I think so. It's not a passworded game,
Yeah,
so that shouldn't be catastrophic.
Now, I have never seen this happen to one of the biggest streamers. Is it because they're always in America where they don't have as many problems with lag?
Maybe. Wow, okay. It might not be an us problem.
It's a shame because it's the first good hand
Yeah,
we've had
it's
all
a it's
night,
it's a
and
promising
I'm
game at
eager
long
to play
last.
it.
Yeah.
Like if they don't do some stupendous like first turn against us, we're in with a really good chance. Like my second turn would be one of these two ice, and I think there's a good debate to be had about which on the remote, and Rashida in it, and go. Uh,
Well, the chat seems to be working.
yeah, which is strange.
It's not something I'm
Usually,
doing wrong, is it? I mean, you can
not
see
that I
what
can
I'm
see.
doing, can you?
I can see what you're doing.
Yeah.
Try leaving the game and coming back in.
Yeah.
Like, not just re
Okay. Okay. Now they've gone.
Okay. Well, then.
Well, let's give them a minute to see if they come back.
I think we're going to have to abandon this game, Dave, because it's just not installing.
Oh, but it was a good one.
Try gaining a credit. See if it will do that. See if it's a problem with like what we're telling it to do. So you can always undo the click.
Yeah. Okay, that is working.
That's very strange.
Shall I try installing something else?
Yeah. Well, that's a new bug.
Isn't it?
Do you want to do the little bug report command?
Please tell me how.
Do / bug report. And it should like log that this game has happened.
Like that?
All one word, I
Yeah.
think. Or it might just be, it's just bugged.
Just
Sorry.
bug, yeah. Do you need to submit further details?
Yeah, you can go to GitHub and do it. But this creates like the stub of something that you can do on GitHub. I've done it myself before. I have like very weak technical know-how. I've gone to GitHub and like submitted a report into a problem there used to be with like Spin Doctor and Daily Business Show not being good bedfellows.
Yeah.
Our opponent hasn't returned.
No, I think that is the end of the game.
Yeah.
Oh, what a shame.
That's a real shame. It's so frustrating when we've had we've had bad hands all night, and that was the first time that we saw a really good opening hand.
Yeah.
But for all we know, it was about to turn into garbage. The next three were full cards were like regulatory capture, regulatory capture, regulatory capture, SCS drone deployment. But even if that happened, we had two spin doctors in hand.
Yeah. Tell me again what the second turn you had planned out.
Second turn I had planned out was to put some kind of ice on the remote, and we had two options, and shove Rashida in there, and then probably shove the other ice on R&D. And I think the other ice, I think it's difficult because we don't hugely want to waste our ice on a remote. We probably want to protect R&D quite well. Against Sunny, you kind of need to protect all your centrals because they will use a card called White Hat, the card called Black Hat to like clear your hand of stuff they don't want in there and jailbreak you. Oh, I know this person. I've enjoyed. I think it would be fine for me to say this. I have this person. While I haven't like talked to them outside of the game, they seem to start at about the same time as me.
Okay, yep.
Because they were playing startup. SDS drone deployment. Could you not be at the bottom of our deck once, please? This isn't unplayable, but I think versus Sable, we want some ice to go on our centrals.
I agree. Let's try the mulligan.
So yeah, they seem to be playing startup around the same time I was, and they seem to have moved to standard at around the same time I did. So like I have seriously.
Oh, for fuck's sake.
At least we got the Spin Doctor, but like 4 out of 5 games to see the one card that we don't want to see. Often in multiple starting hands.
A single copy, and we mulliganed it and got it in both blooming hands. Oh, that is wild. Okay.
We've started one game tonight without it in hand.
3 agendas in hand. Here we go. This is how this deck works.
Okay, Spin Doctor in the remote.
Yes.
This is how you know from the other side of the table. You're like, yeah, looks like you're having a good day over
there. After on HQ? No, we just draw.
Spin Doctor. Rest the Spin Doctor.
Yes, of course.
Sorry, I didn't mean to yell that.
No, it was entirely correct. Okay, so we want.
Okay.
Do we want to keep any of these? We want to get rid of the SDS, obviously. We do have our combo.
We have our combo so we want to keep an Atlas. We're getting rid of 2 of them, we keep an Atlas.
Yeah.
And I think we just go. Okay.
We could draw again and play the too big to fail. And then we'll discard 2, right?
Yeah. Yeah. Fine. Look, believe in the heart of the cards. do what we said. Play the too big to fail.
Okay.
Lose and.
It's fine. Hostile isn't terrible to have at the moment, is it?
Yeah, lose an above the law and an SDS.
Yes.
And hope that the mark is R&D.
There we go.
Maybe they'll be the first runner all night to respect hard-hitting news and not run us when we've got 15 credits.
Why do we hope that the mark is R&D?
Because we don't really want them running HQ. And we don't really want them running archives. And they will run their mark, whatever it is.
Yes. I mean,
probably.
We're going to shuffle these back whenever. Does it really matter if they run archives?
The sooner they're in... If they didn't run archives this time, we'd get a turn of drawing without 2 more agendas in the deck. So we'd be like... Fine.
Yeah, okay. So they won't get to steal, which is nice.
Hopefully they don't just like do that again. That would be very frustrating. Okay, this is all right.
Yeah. So now we score the hostile takeover, right?
Yeah. Let's see what we get in our mandatory. I think maybe we
ice instead.
Yeah, and I think we Afshar HQ, Mausolus R&D, take a credit.
Okay.
I'd forgotten that they're a criminal and that therefore they can do that to us. Uh, Luckily, against this deck, it's not devastating at all.
Yeah. Yeah, that was a much better outcome than actually running HQ like they're about to try and do now.
Yep. We do res this.
Yep.
I actually think maybe they don't get their boomerang back because no, they do get their boomerang back. I'm making stuff up. It's if the run was successful, but we still get to fire our subroutine. Which admittedly only cost them 1 credit this run, but we don't want to let them keep doing
It's
this.
a moral victory, Jessica. That one credit.
Yeah.
Okay.
We want them to hit the bulwark. Anything else is kind of bad.
I was thinking that it was a moment of high tension, but actually it was me forgetting to click a button.
Yes!
Yes! At last!
Luck be a lady tonight.
Yeah. Okay. we just, if nothing else, we've shown a preternatural ability to draw agendas this evening. We're scoring the hostile takeover, I take it?
Yeah, score the hostile takeover, definitely.
Yeah. Remote.
Let's talk about. So I think I've played this deck of theirs. That card they just installed says like something like break the last subroutine device. There's first.
Yeah. Console is swift, so we should expect lots of run events. Hey, it's poison vial.
Yeah, so they can break basically any ice with that combo. It's not good, that combo, but like it's a fun thing that they're doing, and I respect them for it.
Yeah, they said it was a weird deck, which is exactly what we want to be playing against.
Okay.
So we've got government subsidy.
Government subsidy, Bulwark HQ. Next turn, we big deal out.
Yeah.
Draw as well, I guess.
Okay, yeah.
We should have done first, definitely.
Yeah. So they actually can't run HQ now. They don't.
I mean, if they
have to install with their current board state.
Yeah.
But actually, if they try, it will be quite annoying. We'll lose our credits that we need for our big play. Oh.
Okay. We're gonna do this.
Yeah. Okay.
We've got this, Dave. We've got it.
We're gonna do it. Okay. So.
Install Atlas, advance it once, and play big deal. I do not know why they didn't run archives that turn. It would have been free. I would have forced us to shuffle in agendas, but we're not going to argue.
I think they were so excited to play 3 copies of this Conga Metato, whatever it's called. Boom. Boom. Hey.
Okay, and we do unfortunately have a turn of them just being able to run wherever the hell they want, but we can live with that. 1 turn of that is fine.
Yeah. Okay. They're running HQ. They might Well, no, it's free for them to run HQ, isn't it? But it will tax their Oh, there we go.
Okay, so now we finally have the decision point, which this deck is all about. And I think, what do you think we want to draw, Dave, with our Atlas counter?
That's a good question.
It is a good question. Thank you. I came up with it myself.
Well, we definitely want some. We definitely want some credits.
Yeah, I think that's true.
Do we want to be using the Atlas counters now, in your opinion?
Yes, I think that we want money.
Yeah.
So that we can res Trebuchet if we need to, or whatever it is. Bulwark, sorry.
Yeah.
It's on. That's the Outrice.
On 2 credits, I think we probably want Too Big to Fail.
I agree. And that also gets us to 3 of the 4 bad pub C we need to score that regulatory capture from hand.
Yeah. So let's do it. There we go. Too Big to Fail. We'll play the Too Big to Fail.
Mm-hmm. Get 10 credits. And then what?
The border control we could play, the Rashida we could play.
I think they run and trash a Rashida on this board state. Maybe we don't care. I think we draw once here.
Yeah.
Which we probably should have done before. But that's okay. That's a shame.
That is annoying.
I think we put the border control on HQ.
Sounds good, yeah. Yeah. Yeah, because the only way they have to get through it involves that poison file, which obviously has got limited uses, so border control is tasty.
Yeah. If we draw another piece of ice, we can... Oh, that's perfect. We're going to res this Mausolus. We just want to get rid of the credits so that we can Too Big to Fail again and get to 4 bad pub. And cool. We don't mind them getting through that.
Yeah, and weirdly the bad pub doesn't matter.
Yeah.
Well, I guess they can just trash something, can't they?
Yeah, they can. They got a hostile.
How's that? Now they have lots of cards.
Indeed, they do. I think. All right, let's see what we draw.
I think we want to use that for money, don't we? Until advance.
My plan would be to grab and use another Too Big to Fail.
Mm-hmm.
And then next turn we just start scoring out regulatory captures from hand. Because we'll be at 4.
We've actually got the game in hand, don't we? Yeah, that makes sense. Yeah. Cool. Too Big to Fail, there you are.
And yeah, probably install an advance that NGO front.
Can't hurt, can it?
No, I don't think they're getting into HQ this turn. Because we've got that border control.
Yeah. So they've got 25 cards left in their stack. They've drawn a shed load and they've got the card stack down, so they're likely to get... Okay.
Spin Doctor time.
Yeah, absolutely.
We did very well out of that Spin Doctor.
Yeah, my goodness, it's done such good work. There's the cat's cradle.
Yeah. Res the border control. We kind of don't care if it's but like it's also kind of funny to make them use their like one-off breakers to get through it and then kick them out anyway.
Mm-hmm.
What's our mid-lice? It's Trebuchet, isn't it?
Bulwark.
Bulwark, which we can res,
Yeah.
and they can break, but only once, and then we kick them out forever. And we have got enough money to win still, so let's do that.
Yeah, that's got a sting, hasn't it? They were both barriers.
Yep. And we let them. I mean, actually, we might as well use the border control now because it makes no difference. They're just going to use bad pub, and we're just prolonging things.
Yeah, fine. Let's do that. We like this person, so let's
Unnecessarily waste their time.
antagonise them.
I think they're a really fun player.
Yeah. It's a really fun deck.
Yeah. And like it looks like we're broke, but we're not. So we've got 5 credits there, which we'll go and grab now. That's not what we want to see, but it's okay.
Yeah. So install regulatory capture advance.
Yep.
Yeah.
So they need to win this turn. They can win this turn, but it's unlikely on this board state.
R&D mark, which makes it a bit harder for them to want to run HQ enough times to win. Yeah, I mean, if they run HQ and take our regulatory capture, that moves us slightly further away from winning.
If they did do that, we score out the above the law with Audacity,
Of course,
which
we
we
would,
have in
yeah.
hand.
Yeah.
The nice thing about the Project Atlas counters is they could be used to get any part of this combo. So I mean, a lot comes down here to: are they going to grab agenda off the top of HQ here? I think if they don't, their chance of winning drop basically to 0, even with us on 5 bad pub. As much as I like this person, they are about to have a very long turn of Netrunner, which they'll have done 6 clicks in. This is a little bit frustrating.
6 clicks?
Yeah, they got 1 back from Swift, and they got 1 back from Sable. But that's it. We win.
Yeah.
And we get to choose how we win.
That's fun.
The meaner way of the 2 ways to win is to score out the Project Atlas and trash one of their things. But we can do it either way.
Let's do the red capture.
Yeah, let's see the red capture. We did it! Woo!
Yay! At last, the deck did a thing.
Yeah, it did the thing it's supposed to do. Yeah, I respect this dude as well because he's like clearly at a point. Like I said, I think we started learning standard around the same time. He's clearly at least one regard a little bit further on than I am. I have not built any standard decks yet whatsoever, and he's out here like trying to make weird cards work, which is something I have a lot of respect for. I'm
Absolutely.
happily net decking and will sing the praise of net decking to anyone who listens. I think there's no shame in it whatsoever.
Indeed. They use they them pronouns by the looks of things.
Sorry, they do. Thank you for picking me up on that.
No worries at all. Just having a look in the deck. Yeah, so the remaining genders were 2 atlases and regulatory capture and hostile. We didn't get loads of economy, did we, this time around?
We did okay. We
had enough, so I'm not complaining.
Yeah, we played a big deal. We rezzed a bulwark and border control and an Afshar and a Mausolus.
Yeah. In fact, the stats are right in front of me. We gained 64 credits. Okay.
Yeah, they gained a few more.
Yeah.
Yeah, we did it. Often with this deck, there is a little hump point in the middle where you need to be extremely rich for like a moment, and then you kind of don't care anymore about having that kind of money. I have won by playing 2 big deals, and that's a lot of fun. Getting those 2 Atlas counters and still having 17 credits or whatever somehow, you can just like pull the SDS or whatever and score out of hand. It doesn't happen often though. But it's nice that it's got a lot of paths to victory.
It's a good deck. I like it. I had fun.
It's fun, isn't it? I'm glad we finally got a game where it was doing what it was supposed
to. For sure. I mean, it's exactly what you said just before. Like, if you don't get to see what the deck does, then it's not as useful a learning experience as when you do.
Yeah.
I don't feel that there's much that I would want to go back over and look at again. What do you reckon?
I'm wondering if there was a moment where I was scared that we had rezzed all that ice on HQ just to be like, haha, look at all this ice we've got. And then we were going to be like really short of credits. But I think in practice it was making HQ uninviting to run repeatedly, and indeed impossible to run repeatedly, was exactly the correct move. And arguably we could even have... No, we shouldn't have let them hit HQ with the what's it called? Diversion of funds, because they would have gotten a click back. But we still would have had enough money if they'd done that, because we had the advancement counter on NGO.
Yes. Yeah, that's right. Yeah.
This deck can be weak to diversion of funds if you don't have a border control on HQ, but like
it is such a good card. Good.
It's an incredibly good card, and I wouldn't be at all surprised if when it came out everyone turned around and said this is overpowered, but in the current meta it doesn't feel overpowered. It feels like a one-off well-balanced card that takes some skill to use properly, and if it's used badly it's kind of middling. But
yeah, I mean, the fact that it's a one-shot,
yeah,
I think is the key bit of balance, isn't it?
Yeah. And I think it creates more interesting board states.
Yes, yeah, absolutely. Yeah. Because it's just one extra click.
Yeah.
If they've got it to go through more than once.
Yeah. And it can be played around. Hippo, for example, plays around it quite interestingly. The corporation has to, if you've got Hippo installed, I don't know if you know about this card.
I do, yeah. So you trash ice after you pass it, basically. The first piece of ice you trash on a run or on a turn.
What a great question. Let's find out.
Mm. How do I make it pop up on the in the chat?
I don't. I've brought it
Oh,
up
there
on
we
my
go.
Netrun DB. It's the first time each turn you fully break the outermost piece of ice, protecting the attack server during a run. You may remove this hardware from the game to transfer that ice. So, like, there are a number of reasons you might want border control on the inside anyway. Uh, Partly because it might be the last thing you res during a run and therefore a surprise.
Yeah.
But if it's the outer piece, you need to choose to end the run before they break it if they've got
Yeah.
Hippo installed.
Yeah.
Otherwise, they can just trash it with Hippo.
Yeah. I think there's a psychological benefit to making somebody go through with a run that you both know is entirely pointless and they're just pissing away credits because you can make them. Like, maybe that doesn't matter too much, but it's an enjoyable feeling.
I did have a kind of similar to that. I did have a very fun turn against my Ag Confusion friend the other day where I was on Essa and I had three Tristushkas in hand and they only had one piece of unresed ice on HQ. And I thought, if I play the first one, I bet I can get them to trash that piece of ice on HQ and then play the other two. And and that's exactly what happened. And they shrieked and it was very, very funny.
Nice. I feel that we might be approaching the end of the stream, Jessica. What do you reckon?
Yes, I think so too.
I don't think I've got another game in me.
No.
Should we talk briefly about what we're doing next week?
Yeah, let's see that.
So next week we are going to play some Arkham.
Yes, we are. Can you
And
remind me which scenario or campaign that will be?
we are going to be embarking on the Edge of the Earth campaign. I
Exciting.
believe the starting scenario has we're embarking on it, and I haven't played it yet, but I will have a quick run through myself so that we're not doing it completely blind. So I'm not 100% certain on the name of the scenario, but I believe it might be Ice and Death Part 1. So that sounds
Yeah,
like a fun June evening.
it does. When we're all sweltering in no air conditioning England.
Yeah. So you are planning to play a Stellar deck?
Yeah, I need to look at that this week
Mm-hmm.
so that I've got something to bring to the
Yeah.
stream. Or maybe we'll do a little bit of deck building on stream, but I think building it from scratch would be rough to do on
Yeah,
stream.
yeah. I think it would be good to talk through it as we have with this deck today. And at some point, I think we could probably have a go at live deck building, but I think now is probably not the time.
I
Um,
concur.
so I think if chatting about the key decisions and maybe making a few key decisions before we play, but
Sounds
having most of
perfect.
it in place. I have a Dexter deck that I hope will be fun. I might give that a little test run as well before we play, but we'll see. But I've
Fantastic.
never played him before, so that will be a giggle, and I can talk you through that. I feel on our last Arkham campaign, you didn't have a great idea of what my deck did for a while. And to be fair, my deck morphed between something that didn't really work to something that worked quite well.
Yeah, well, my deck also became more refined as the
Yeah,
campaign went on, as it should.
yeah. But yeah, so we can talk through the decks and then start the scenario and see where we get to.
Yeah, that sounds really great.
Awesome. Okay, well, I am looking forward to that.
Brilliant.
Thank you very much for a fun evening.
Likewise, and thank you all for watching.
Yeah, we will see you next week.
See you next week. Bye
Take
bye.
care.